Welcome into Dashtown, a podcast about the businesses built by and for the people of Fuquay-Varina. And with us we have the Executive Director of the Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce, Kate from the Chamber.
Kate from the Chamber.
Everybody knows you, Kate from the Chamber.
Kate from the Chamber,
right?
yeah.
Kind of new to the position.
Pretty new, yeah.
You took over kind of right before COVID
Right before
hit.
COVID.
All right, so two challenges in one. We're going to wrap our heads around this here.
Okay.
All right, how has the transition for you been taken over as Executive Director of the Chamber?
Oh, what a great question and a complicated one. I think transitions like this are always a little bit of a challenge.
Because you were with the Chamber before.
I had been with the Chamber for several
quite
years.
some time.
Yep, exactly, in a different role, Membership Services Director, and our director left in June of last year. And so we had, about a 6-month gap. And I think that's always the biggest challenge, is when you have to take the time to, and you have to, properly vet the folks that are, coming in as potential potential new directors.
Were you vetting yourself?
No, well, I'm not part of this process. The
Okay.
board is definitely the one that, or the board is the one driving that. So they took applications. I think we even had people from out of the country that applied at that point.
All
so, but
international
yes,
interest.
International
business
interest.
Here
Who
in
knew?
Fuquay.
From Fuquay. I think it was from Canada specifically. But
okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into that process as well. And then in the meantime, of course, there's nobody really steering the ship, but you're still business as usual as much as you can. So, and then there's that, how much do you plan for the future without knowing who's going to be in charge? You don't want to set them up so they have to basically step in and take what they've got. You want to kind of give them the opportunity to have a little flexibility and put their mark on things. But then it's different when it ends up being, someone who is already there in the position.
So did you know immediately, hey, this position's coming available, I'm interested?
No.
Okay.
No, not necessarily. And I guess I would say that it's more a matter of what was the board looking for in a new director. And was that something that, did I fit the bill, basically?
Okay.
And could I? And I knew that they were looking for some things that, I didn't have experience in. And whereas the others, I had a lot of experience. So it's just a matter of, does it end up being the right fit?
Okay. And have you felt pretty comfortable fitting in?
I feel like they made the right decision, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I think it was a natural step for me. There's still a lot to learn. There's always a lot to learn.
Sure.
But yeah, I think in terms of that transition, and certainly with the staff, and we only have one other staff member at the moment that's full-time, and Patty and I work very well together. So that was easy and natural.
Yeah. So what is the goal of the Chamber? What do you guys do day to day? I know we're an affiliation of all these local businesses, right? And, and you're trying to basically spearhead any kind of agendas and networking and connections. You can probably tell me better than I can tell you.
Sure. Well, and this is where I mission, vision, all, making sure that there's a great economic base here in Fuquay-Varina. And, we definitely aim for covering all of our bases, where you go from small businesses, the folks who work out of their homes and do it, more as a side hustle, all the way up to the Bob Barkers and the Aviators and South Bends. So it's a challenge to make sure you have something for all of, you're covering all of those folks. I'm trying to think of back to the first part of your question, because you asked something more specific that I wanted to get into.
Well, just kind of day to day, what are you doing there at the Chamber to drive?
Oh, I know what it was.
Objectives?
Yep. So there's a word that I like to use. It's amplify. So it's our job to act as an amplifier for our members. So you'll see that especially right now with COVID and everything else going on, and this inability to be together. Social media has really taken precedent, and so that's something that we've ramped up, I guess is the appropriate term, to really help amplify our members' voices when they can't be seen as easily. So that's a big part of what we do. And then we serve as a conduit. We are a connector. We're resources. So even though we don't always have the resource within our four walls, we're able to find someone who can help you.
Yeah. The Chamber normally is throwing a lot of events to make those connections.
This is true.
COVID hits. Can't do that.
No.
How do we compensate, or what has that challenge been like for you?
Sure. So we pivot. Run the Quay is a great example, because that was a June 6th event. So that was the first one that we said we absolutely are not going to be able to do this. And it took about 2 weeks to really get into convincing the committee that this needed to be a change, and then it's, well, now what do we do? What's the next step? So the biggest part of that ends up being cost avoidance. When you have events like that, people say, well, it must be cheaper to then go virtual. It is, as long as you do it in the right time frame. I mean, there's signage and there's sponsor info, like there's all this stuff.
When you pivot, you've got to promote.
Exactly. And you have to make sure that what you've already done isn't costing you additional money down the line, or that you're not signing contracts that then put you in a position to lose money further down if you're not able to do something.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge for sure.
But I mean, things as simple as like there were monthly breakfasts, there were business after hours, those kind of events just stopped.
Yep.
For a while, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, pretty much. We had our last event in March, and then we had our first, I guess, in their kind of reboot, August. At the end of August, we were able to host a breakfast, and as a matter of fact, we just had our first business after hours last night.
Okay.
Since March.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. That was a big deal.
Everybody coming in, socially distancing at the event, and trying to be obviously as cautious and considerate as possible with everything.
Well, and we set it up so that like the venue for breakfast in August was Bentwin's. It was a golf course, so we were able to have an upstairs outdoor covered patio seating. Last night's event was at Camp Agape, which is in Fuquay, but it's about 15 minutes out, and they have, we call it Foothills of Fuquay. It's actually really beautiful out there, and again, open space. We were able to be covered and outside, and I think that helps people feel more comfortable. We were also able to graduate our leadership class this year. They weren't able to have their graduation. It normally happens in May. And so we were able to celebrate them last night as well.
What is the leadership class?
Leadership, so we have a couple of programs that are ours here through the Chamber. We do our own Leadership Fuquay-Varina program.
Okay.
So I think this was either the 6th or 7th cohort that just graduated. And we just, as a matter of fact, are going to receive our final application for the 2021 cohort.
Okay.
Usually that kickoff is August, the year prior.
So is this, are these business owners leaders, or are these?
All of the above. So it's open. It is not a membership driven. So citizens of Fuquay are encouraged to apply, and a lot of them do. So they're everything from small business owners, same like with our membership. It's a great sampling. We have, community participation. We have small business owners, and then we always have folks from like Bob Barker, John Deere that participate. As a matter of fact, the program is largely funded by a grant from John Deere, or has been to date.
Okay.
And the town of Fuquay-Varina is putting up a couple applicants as well this year that we just graduated from the town last year. So their public works director, I think, Gabriel's title escapes me at the moment, and then Major Adams from the police department as well.
Okay. So programs like that, and in addition, you were trying to help other small businesses during COVID. I know that there was a drive there with some amount of assistance to businesses? We teamed up with FVDA, so the Fuquay-Varina Downtown Association. We teamed up with them and were able to put together a program called the Angel Fund. Thanks to Scott Quilty, he really led that charge. He's a local business owner and a vet. And we were able to raise over $120,000 in about 2 weeks. And help 55 businesses, between 50 and 55. I mean, everybody's obviously been affected, but the businesses in turn affect many others, and so if we can help them, it's helping much more than the. And we've already seen it paid forward, so that was part of the ask, was that if you're able to receive this grant money, that you do whatever you can to pay it forward at some point. And we had one group that almost immediately their business was able to start back up again, and the first thing she did was cut a check for her. The amount that she received, So we were able to give somebody else down the line that money. Well, looking forward, what do you see as continuing to be affected by COVID here? Like, I know that the Chamber basically throws the Christmas parade. Ah, yes. Is that Christmas? Is that happening this year? I mean, the state fair is canceled. That's hard to believe, but I got to imagine it's up in the air at best. We are working on what it looks like. I wouldn't say quite up in the air, but we have about 3 or 4 different avenues we're trying to explore. Okay. One way or another, there will be Christmas cheer. What we're ultimately doing is expanding time frame and availability of participation. So where a parade is very specific, it's one day, it's this 3-hour time slot or whatever. We're hoping to be able to engage a wider audience for longer, but we are still looking at the options for having something that looks like a parade. Okay. That word in and of itself is not something we're allowed to use. Well, I know a lot of people sit at home and watch the Macy's Christmas Thanksgiving parade, Christmas parade. Christmas, I think it's on Thanksgiving. We're all more accustomed to streaming now. Maybe we could promote a streaming version of the
certainly
Fuquay parade.
Raleigh's Christmas parade has gone virtual, and we have picked their brain in the past as to how we can, what we can do with ours. And so that's certainly an option, and I think there'll be a hybrid option of that distinction anyway. But we're looking to see if there's some way to do something in person, something people could maybe drive by as opposed to have drive by them.
Okay, good deal. What do you see as the mission as we turn the corner and hopefully come out of this? Where does the chamber pick up, and what are your initiatives more longer term?
More longer term initiatives. Well, and we are in the throes of our annual planning, so that's definitely going to be key.
So you've been thinking about this conversation.
We have been thinking about this conversation, yes. And what we're really trying to do, so even before COVID, our big question is why? What's our why? Why do we do the things that we do? Are they value add? Are we simply doing them because they've always been done this way? Chambers have a certain kind of framework, right? We do networking events, you do this, you offer this.
Yeah.
And so
tradition keeps going.
Exactly.
A lot of times.
Exactly. And so we're looking at this.
Okay.
COVID has done a lot of negative things, obviously.
Right.
There's also some good to come out of this.
I know in my business I had to step back and reflect on what was working and what wasn't.
Exactly. And I think you should normally do that. I think we should all do that
but we get
pretty
caught
often.
Up and we don't have time. We're working in the business, not on the business, and I can imagine as you are helping manage many gears in the machine there, that the same thing happens. You get caught up. But
absolutely.
It allowed us.
It's a forced stop, right? It's a forced. Okay, so we can't do this. Well, wait, why were we doing things this way anyway? I mean, we actually ended up our overall percentages on Run the Quay were better than they've ever been. The overall money coming in, not so much, but reevaluating every single step of that. And do we need these things, don't we? And how do we, cut some costs? Really helped us change some processes going forward. So, and I think we'll see a lot of that as well, even just with events. Our monthly networking events, how we handle those, if we can handle those. And I think a lot of it will depend on what happens in the next few weeks.
Okay. We're here pre-election.
Yeah, we are here pre-election, exactly.
Yep.
And even just in terms of what the winter brings. I mean, we all hear this buzz that, it's going to get worse. There's a second wave. So we're really looking at, we've asked our event committees, for example, and the standing ones who are planning out, who usually provide us budgets to kind of give us, what's your best case scenario if this was a normal year of 2021, suddenly magically we're able to do all of the things we used to do,
right?
Or those that we would like to, or what's your COVID case kind of scenario? So we're really looking at two versions of everything.
Got to be able to pivot based on what happens.
You do, and I will say that from our standpoint, everything will be planned with the intention of planning everything hybrid. So having that ability to allow people streaming or recordings if they're not comfortable being in person at something. That's going to be definitely more of a focus.
For the next year, I think that's how a lot of things are going to have to be accomplished, is that to your comfort level, we've got the option of either or. We're taking responsibility, doing our best to make sure everybody who is comfortable in person, that we can
gets an opportunity to be there. Exactly. I think in our August breakfast, I was one of the bigger holdouts because I still wasn't ready to, for example, sit and eat in front of folks. Like that's a big deal when you're talking about extra time and you're taking your mask off.
Absolutely.
And so we worked with Bentwins to do a box breakfast. That way people who were comfortable could sit and eat. If they wanted to take it with them, they could. So stuff like that is really where you find the flexibility.
Okay. Well, the Chamber's always looking for membership, right?
Always,
and always, the bigger the pool of businesses that are connecting through the Chamber, obviously the better. So if somebody's interested, we're in a growing area anyway.
We are, absolutely.
A lot of new businesses actually spring up.
It's
funny in normal times, but in times of crisis, it seems like more businesses.
Our biggest push right now has been ribbon cuttings. We have already had 3, I think, and we have 3 more slated. We have 2 more slated for next week.
Fantastic.
So, and they're both new members that are coming to our area. We had the one last Saturday was a build out, basically. They moved and they expanded, and so they're able to be growing even in this, which is really incredible.
Well, for somebody who might not be a member, how can they become one? And then what are the benefits to them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of comes back to what we were saying before, but our website is the great launching point for that. You can apply online. It basically pops right into our system and says, hey, somebody's interested, and then we reach back out. And by we, again, I mean me or Patty.
Okay.
There's only two of us there. So we will get back in touch with you, and the process goes from there. But really, most of the benefits are the same across the board, but it's what you do with them. Mm-hmm. So us being able to amplify your voice means you have to find it to begin with. So there's a lot of kind of coaching that goes into it, and I don't think people see that side of it. The services that we provide outside of what you see are, time spent on the phone with people, time spent looking at what's the best way, or maybe do they need a brick and mortar? Don't they need a brick and mortar? Can they do this online? So there's a lot of that kind of coaching that goes in. But yeah, obviously there's networking opportunities. There are going to be events, whether they're virtual or in person, that our members will be privy to that maybe non-members are not invited, especially as we're going back to in-person. We've already decided that we have to limit our not decided that we have to limit our guest list, so we've decided to.
It wouldn't be your choice.
No,
but
no, not at all.
It is what it is.
We've done some focused invites so that we're really working with the businesses. We just did a ribbon cutting for AFC. They're a new business, a new urgent care.
Yeah.
We asked them, who's your target market? And so they were able to give us, types of businesses, the people they wanted to get in front of. And so what we did was invite them first, because that's a service to that host company.
Sure.
That they're getting in front of the people they really want to. And then we opened it up to the whole membership to invite. So that's kind of how we're, again, switching gears, pivoting a little bit.
Well, I like the resources. I like the education. I like the information of promotion of events that are going on. The newsletters, I think, are helpful.
Yes, yeah.
And then the connection with other like-minded professionals within the area, I think, is the true benefit. And full disclosure, I've gone through the ranks to invite people on to Dashtown.
Exactly.
Right?
That's exactly right. That's what I tell people. New members that join, our membership is yours once you're there, and it's an easy in with somebody to call and say, hey, I'm a new chamber member. I noticed you're listing there. I really want to connect and just find out a little bit more. It's an in, right?
Yep. They offer discounts to other chamber members.
Yep. Usually there's a member-to-member discount page. Yeah, that's definitely popular.
Yeah, great. So I've felt like it's certainly been a benefit to my business, all the way from the ribbon cutting we did here. Can't believe it's been 3 years ago.
Yes, I was going to say it seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, no, it's been gone by quick. But all the way from that through, you brought me my new sticker.
I did.
Put that on the door.
We'll make you official just in time for the end of the year.
Absolutely. But I appreciate it. Well, we haven't been able to do things like that.
It's been a challenge.
It's been crazy. So anyway, Kate from the Chamber, appreciate you stopping by. And folks, if you are in business, know a business owner, I would encourage you to go check out the Chamber's page and consider becoming a member yourself.
Thank you, Peter.